So my sewer's been backing up through the lid for a while. I've just been ignoring it. So the leach field, I expected it to go like out there in front of the house somewhere, but it actually is going like over that way into the woods, which is probably why it doesn't work. So I dug a trench here, goes down that way into the woods, and I figure I'll just get onto that dude right there, dump a bunch of gravel in there, and I think at the end I'll dig a really big hole and dump a whole bunch of gravel in it, so that because this is all clay, so I can't imagine this is very good for septic systems. Like literally it's all clay. So I'm just one person though, so it'll work for a while. But it's interesting to see all the water lines. So there's a water line that crossed, an old one. It's been abandoned. There's another one. And then there's another one. Right there. I don't know where the other end of it went, but I can imagine why it took them over 50 years for 3 water lines, but maybe it was for some hydrants. Who knows? But I will not worry about the septic tank anymore. I'm gonna have to make a cap. It had a cap on it, but somehow I hit it with this excavator and I don't know where it went, but I think I can make one. Should be easy. So got it all dug. I'm gonna have to get those roots out of there, but there's my trench. I only fell in the trench twice. It's, I don't know, 30 inches deep probably, I'm guessing. Probably foot of gravel underneath it. And then at the end, I got a great big hole that I'll just fill with gravel and then end it there, and hopefully that'll help soak up anything that doesn't make it through the leach field. So I think the septic's actually in decent shape for being 50 years old, but you can see the blackness right there. Well, that's all the roots that invaded the leach field. So if I can somehow get all these out of here, plug it up with a new pipe, I think we'll be good for another 50 years. So the side of the tank has a kind of a crack in it, but I think it'll be fine. Put some gravel around here. It means it won't even use the discharge hose. Just pack this full of gravel and it'll do its thing. If that ends up clogging up with solids, then it'll come out of that hole. But new tank is like $2,000. Yeah, I think I'll make this one work. So the project for today is to attempt to repair this crack. So my leach field, actually everything was just solid roots. Even the discharge side, roots were going all the way inside the baffle. So I got all that cleaned out. I don't know why. It's not like there's a tree right here that has black bark on it that I'm guessing is from all the awesome nutrients it's been getting out of my septic tank. But I found this crack, so I don't want to dig it out because I'm afraid it'll bust, but the whole thing. But I think I'll trim this side back a foot or so. Maybe shoot some tap cons. I don't want to put like big holes in it. I've heard it's gonna crack more because this thing's like probably 50 years old. It looks like that lid, that end might be separating a little bit. So I think I'll put some tap cons in there maybe. Form it up with some plywood. Maybe pour like a 6-inch, just maybe around the corner. Come over a foot on each side and just kind of form it up. And then put, seems like somebody's having some fun. But form it up. Before I put my gravel in there, go ahead and fill it with gravel. And then I'll do, I said about 6 inches around with the concrete, maybe a couple sticks of rebar or something. See how long that'll last. I really don't want to deal with a new tank. I mean, that one's pretty small anyways. It's probably, I don't know, might be 500 gallons. But I got a new temporary leach field. I'll just get, that's probably good enough. I'm just one person, so I got some pipe. I don't know, I think I got about 70 feet of pipe. A bunch of gravel. Make this work. I won't use it. You can kind of see what's left of the distribution box. Maybe right over here, right where all those roots are. That looks like that's the distribution box right there. It's dribbling out what was left in it. So, let's see what I can, oh, there's barbed wire down there. I also have to make a new lid. I guess I hit it. It might have fallen inside actually, but I hit it with the excavator when I was getting it out. I busted it a little bit, but I think I'll just make a, I'll just lay some plastic down, like over the whole thing, put some dirt to keep it from falling in, and then make like a round cap that's bigger than this, and it'll kind of fall down in there, and it'll form to the current shape. Figure that'll work, but you can see the level's low, but the baffle looks good. Got most of the roots out of it. So, I mean, the tank's for 50 years. There's the inlet side. I might pull that out and make sure that the inlet tee's good. If you might need a new one, I'm gonna have to replace part of this anyways because I hit it with the, when I was trying to find the tank, I hit it and cracked part of the PVC over here. But let's see what I can make work over here. All right, should work. I'm gonna let it dribble out whatever it can before I try to pour anything. I'm guessing that is a 2-compartment tank, or else that whole wall would have collapsed. But I'll wash this too so I can get a good seal around that. I'm just gonna come out here with a 45, and then I'll put a clean out right here and shoot it down that way. I might dig up that distribution box. I'm just curious. But I thought maybe I did that, but that thing's it's been cracked for a while. Had a lot. I had some really big roots down there at the bottom. That could have been what started it. But I can go get see if I come up with some scrap plywood or OSB or something, start a form. So I went ahead and dug a little ramp to get down here. I'm gonna have to get the excavator out, and I kind of filled in my ditch, so I got a pool in here. The former leach field is apparently becoming a French drain in reverse. Could be the problem, but it's leaking more water back into the hole too, so I just need to dig this out. So, and actually, so it was actually made out of clay tiles. That's how old it was. It wasn't PVC or anything. But I'm gonna get this cleaned out real quick. So I got this on clearance for like $5. I think it's normally like 25 or 20 or 25. It's like a roof sealant. It's oil based, and you can use it wet or dry. So I think it'll work pretty good. I bought it to seal the septic tank line here. Alright, so I've got a bunch of scrap shit. This came out subfloor on the bathroom. A bathroom I do move, as you can tell from the toilet flange, still attached. That ought to work. So I was gonna mix all this with my little electric mixer, but I decided that's gonna be way too much work. So I'm gonna use the skid steer mixer, which means I gotta get this gravel out of here, because I don't think I'm gonna be able to get out without my bucket being empty and pushing myself out. So getting gravel on this side here, so that if that leak does keep going, it'll have a way to drain out and it won't soak the dirt. and get the roots in there again. That's my thought process anyway. So, just making the cap. I just got some scrap. I don't know, whatever. It's probably 1 by 1, inch and a half by inch and a half. That is actually some scrap from old furniture or something. So, some scrap plastic because I didn't have any, but I did have some insulation. Down here. It. Just want to get enough inside that it will settle, and then you want it so that it moves, and staple it. So, super close from my gravel pile and sand to the septic, but I just seeded all this right here. So I'm driving all the way around the back so I don't tear up the yard. Hopefully I can have grass at the end of the year. We will see. Alright, so I took a little bit more than I thought because it kind of pulled away a little bit. I knew I should have braced it a little better, but it is what it is. So cap should turn out pretty good. I'll come out and finish it a little better here in a little bit, but I'm gonna scrape all this stuff off. But I'm gonna go take a half-ass shower without having any plumbing, so it's gonna be rather cold, but I'm kind of dirty. Figure I'll let this set up for 24 hours before I put any water in the tank. So I think that ought to hold for at least another 10 years if it's just me. Dig that out, I'll work on that. I need to get another load of gravel. My pile's a little too small. We'll see. All right, I'm gonna get cleaned up. So I got everything deformed. Way more concrete than I planned on, but it works. Lid turned out, so it's a super tight fit. Like, it doesn't move at all. I mean, it kind of conformed to the even that little notch, that broken notch, fits out perfect. And so, like, see, It doesn't move at all. It's super solid. I'll probably get some sort of pipe. I might just brick it up. I don't know, because I've got to come up like 2, maybe 30 inches almost to be level, for the ground to be level. We'll do the same thing over there. That one's gonna be easier. I can probably just use a 8-inch pipe or something, corrugated. But I'm gonna get some rock. So I'm gonna put a layer of rock in here down, I don't know, 6 or 8 feet. And then I'll build this up with dirt. Well, technically it's clay, but to where if this does leak, the water will kind of seep its way out, and then that's going to end up being like it'll be gravel the rest of the way down. I'll just end up building up the clay just on this end and sloping the pipe down to it to get to where the pipe here, it's going to be solid PVC for the first 6 or 8 feet, and then it'll be the corrugated or perforated rather from there. So I'm going to get some gravel in here and go ahead and build this up so I can start working on the discharge, because I want to try to get this discharge on here before my tank fills up. Right now it's about 18 inches, so probably 100 gallons or so, which should work. I should give me a couple days. So well, thought I had just enough fuel to make it, but I just ran out in the woods. I wanted to get this compacted skid steer. Yeah, maybe I can get the excavator in here. It's just super soft. I didn't run out of gas. A couple loads of gravel right here, and I could have got this section of pipe finished up. I think I'm still going to go ahead and glue my PVC in while it's dry. So I just thought of something. I'm gonna get a 4-inch toilet flange. And I can bolt that sucker on there with some tap cons, seal it up real good with some of that tar, and it's going to be a lot more sturdy than trying to glue something else in, because it's quite a bit difference. I mean, there's a good inch and a half difference in there. I think that's what I'm going to do. I may have one actually. I'm gonna dig around. All right, so the toilet flange idea didn't work to get it bolted on there because the flange wasn't quite big enough. So I've just got it kind of tarred in there right now. I'll let it set up overnight, and I think I can make some sort of just a bracket, like even if it's just a piece of metal, that's yay long, that I can bolt in right here that'll clamp it down and you know, at least 3 spots. That'll kind of hold it in there tight. But I think I'm going to end up pouring this. I'm going to put the clean out on like right at here, and then I think I'll make a box, kind of a box around all that, and just fill it full of cement. Maybe throw some bolts in here too, just to keep it attached so that it won't break off. Throw some rebar stuff in there and just make that kind of a solid concrete so that it can't pull out at all. There's Wister Kitty. What you doing? Don't touch the black stuff over there. All right, so I got toilet flange thing worked okay. I still think I'm gonna kind of form this up, like probably square it off like here, and just fill this with a foot of concrete just to incorporate the flange. And I'll put I'll screw some bolts into the septic there. I won't go all the way through, but just part of the way, and just leave the heads out. Same thing, just to add kind of as an anchor, kind of like a Nelson pin, to where it just grabs on to keep it stable. It'd be kind of like gluing, you know, epoxy and rebar in, but faster and cheaper because I have the bolts and I don't have the epoxy. But that should keep this all square, and hopefully that'll kind of try to keep some of the roots out from trying to get in there, because I'm not sure how waterproof that is going to end up. I mean, it hadn't quite dried yet. I don't know if it ever will, but if I put some concrete around there, we'll call it good. So I don't need it to last forever. Just need it to last for a little bit, because that tank is not anywhere close to big enough for what my house is going to end up being. That's like 500. Gonna need at least 1,000 or so. So I got this out. That's schedule 40 to there. I'll put a 45 on there. Maybe a 45, maybe a 22.5. I don't know. To get angled down there, and then I'll kind of go that way. And then from here out, I'll go with gravel, and this will become part of the leach field here from the rest of the way out. And that's gonna have like a crap. I just ordered a load of gravel today. So this will have, and I ordered 3/4 inch. 1/2 inch is what I had. I'm used to mix concrete with. I really didn't want to, but that's what I had. So this will have a good, you know, it's got a good 2 feet here. It'll probably have a good, at least a foot of gravel underneath the line from here. And then once it gets down to the end, I'm going to, so I dug a big hole at the end just to kind of have a pooling spot for it. But it looks like I'm going to have to continue it out, because this has held water for 3 days now. So I guess if I wanted a pond, I could make a pond right here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig this out to where it's flush with the, it keeps dropping down. So I'll just dig this out to where, you know, it flows out, fill it with gravel, so that way if there's any rainwater that gets in here, it'll flow out. It won't puddle right here. So all right, gravel will be here in a couple days. So this weekend I should have a semi-functioning septic system. Be able to maybe even get it. Maybe I can get some some pipe to get the inspection covers here out, because I'm gonna have to come so right to there. So we're looking at almost 2 feet, maybe 8 inches, because it kind of slopes to the surface. All right, well, I missed some video, but so I got my clean out installed, and it's schedule 40 to right about there, and then it's 20 from there on out. But it may not seem very deep, but it's gonna be like 2 foot, because I kind of had a trough in here before, and I'm gonna level it out. So this will level out pretty good. Woo! So I got to about there done. Should have dug a little straighter trench. It would have been easier. A little bit more of a bend there, but this soil isn't very absorbent. So I've got a lot of gravel. I got like a foot of gravel underneath this, and then I'll have at least 2 feet of soil above it. And it's got a lot of clay in it, so it tends to run off, and that's kind of why it's not absorbing. So got kind of at the end of that, I got a big hole. I'm just gonna dump a bunch of gravel in it, and hopefully it's deep enough to where it won't be an issue. I think it'll work okay. I mean, the drain tiles that were here worked for 50 years. So I figure this will work for at least another 25. It's probably as long as I'll live, so we're good. I'm gonna get it buried up to, go ahead and bury it probably up to about there, and I'll finish that another time. I'm just ready to get this thing buried. I'm not gonna bury it all the way because I still have to, I'm gonna have to get some sort of a cover here to raise it. I think I'm just I got a bunch of old brick. I think I'll just kind of like make a brick circle and kind of come up. It's about 2 feet for both the inlet and the outlet. And I'll make some sort of precast cover to put on it so I don't have to ever dig this thing out again. Any septic pumpers would appreciate that. But you can see that's level right about there. So that's a good, at least 2 feet down. All right, and get the cover in. All right, so I got everything covered up. Still got, I'm gonna do a little bit more smooth in here, but I'm gonna let some of this dry out a little bit. This breaks out a little better when it's dry. The clumps break up and kind of smooth out, kind of like that right there. And up here. So what I'm working on now is a riser for the septic tank. So I got everything formed out, and I got rebar. I couldn't find my rebar ties, so I just welded it together. Not perfectly straight, but it'll work. So it's braced on the lid on the inside to where the form won't push in, and I just got some weight on the outside. It's only 3 inches, so it won't be bad. I got little blocks in there keeping it spaced, but I'm just gonna leave those in there. It's not gonna hurt anything. It's just a lid, and this is just sitting on there. I got blocks on each side to keep it from spreading out. So once I get it poured and it hardens up enough to tool, I'll just pull that off so I can flatten everything out. So, and then I will do the same thing for the inlet, but I have to dig up, before I do that, I have to dig up this line. So years ago, when I was trying to find my water line, I kind of broke this corner. So I'm gonna have to replace that 45. Won't be too bad. But I figure I'll just replace the 45. There's some tree roots on the inlet side anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and dig it up all the way to there, clean all the tree roots out, get a good seal on that, try to keep keep the roots from getting in there, and just replace it back to there. Which normally wouldn't be that bad, but when a piece of Schedule 40 is $40, that's a $50 repair right there. if I can't save the pipe. So I'm getting ready to mix. Got my mixer set up. Getting ready to mix the cement for this. Probably gonna mix a little strong just to make sure that it don't break. It won't cost that much more. There's a little bit extra Portland in there. So I'm gonna get after it. All right, so I got the riser, got all the form stripped off, and I kind of reformed it for a lid. So my theory is, I'm hoping this trash bag is big enough. It's not. So I'm going to have to find some plastic big enough to line this, and I'll just kind of form a lid just like I made the lid that's underneath there. So underneath that, I've just got, kind of moves a little bit, but I just got blocks cut, kind of four, one in each corner and then one in the middle. These are screwed in through the little blocks of wood that I left in the forms, which worked out really handy. It's like I did it on purpose, but mainly it's just screwed in through the corners. So gonna have to find some plastic big enough, and I'm gonna see if I can get this thing poured tonight, get a lid, and I'll do like a burn finish on it. I need to cut some rebar actually. I'll do some, probably two pieces of 1/2-inch bar going both directions, just to kind of keep it together in case it cracks. But I'll put enough Portland in there, it'll be pretty stout. Well, it's all poured, and I feel like every tool should have cement splatter all over it to make sure it's qualified as a used tool. So every time you're pouring any sort of concrete, make sure you put all your tools around it so you can get splatter on it, because that's what makes it look like it's used. It's been a bit, but finally finishing the inlet side to the septic tank. And so this 45 I broke with my skid steer trying to find the pipe. So I actually cracked the 4-inch line, so I've already spliced in a 12-inch piece there. This is cracked back a foot or so, but I'm going to put a clean out in over here. So I'm hoping I cut it there. Hopefully I can cut the crack out here and move it up, since, you know, schedule 44-inch pipe is like $38 a stick. I'm hoping I can save this to where I don't have to put another splice in here, because if I put a T in there over on this side, I should take a bit of it out to where hopefully I've got enough room here. And then I've got a flexible coupling, because I'll never be able to get a glue-in fitting to fit, so I've got a flexible union that I'll put in there somewhere. So let's hope this works. That will get 3-inch. I'll just get a 3-inch schedule 40 for a clean out, mainly just to see. So if I have a clog, I can look in there and I can see if it's clogged somewhere or if the tank's clogged. So, and then I was going to form up a cement box like that. However, that's going to work perfect. So I'll cut a hole out on the top of that. I'll form this up a little bit, put a little bit of concrete on the bottom of it to hold it down, and then I'll make a cement lid. And there, boom. It's the first bucket I've ever bought. but we didn't have any spare ones right now, so that'll work. Go ahead and get this in here. I'm gonna dump some gravel in here just to kind of keep this somewhat dry. That should eventually go into the lateral line. I've got gravel in here, so if I get some gravel on top of here, it should kind of eventually seep over it that way. And this will get covered up to right here with dirt, so it'll be level. I've got a post to add to that frost-free hydrant there. Maybe after a year I'll be done with this. We'll see. Well, I think I started this septic tank, I don't know, March or April? Probably April. I don't know. It was in the spring, early spring, and now it is fall. And I'm finally done. Last weekend I got it covered up. I still got to get a finished pass on here and get these clumps broken up before it rains. I got to move that crap out of the way and fill in a little more in there. But other than that, I got hydrants done. That's how I like to do my hydrants. You know, some people like to cement their hydrants in, but then if you ever have a problem, you can't get it out. So I cement a post in, attach it to it with some pipe hangers, and then, you know, put gravel at the bottom, and we're good to go. So if you ever have a problem with that and you can't get it apart, can't get it replaced or whatever, you can dig it up, replace the whole thing without having to chip up a bunch of concrete. So I still got to cut the clean outs and put the little clean out access things, you know, like that on. And I got to make a lid for that, but it's I never cut the top off that bucket, so it's good to go if I ever need to get in there. I know where it is. Next time I'm mixing up concrete for anything, I'm gonna make a form and I'll just do it while I'm mixing other concrete. This lid turned out really well. It's probably not gonna be easy to get on and off because it's really heavy, but it fits good. And then I gotta get a cut that down and get that in the ground as well. But maybe next spring I can get some dirt on all this clay and maybe actually grow something over here instead of having a big dirt pile. But still got to smooth out here a little bit. When I was working on it last, it was really wet. Now it's really dry. Hadn't rained in I bet it hadn't rained in a month. Yeah, it's a little damp here, so it must be getting all the way down here into this is where that big hole is. So it must be getting here, but it's working. Haven't had any problems with it yet. Probably won't. Yeah, get out here, smooth this out. But that was it. Total cost, I don't know. Might have cost me maybe $300, and most of that was PVC, concrete. I think I used a couple bags of concrete. That's $20. Bunch of fittings, bunch of scrap wood. Not too bad.